Hello, everyone. We are back with Green on the Greens, myself and Cody Williams. We took last week off. Cody, you have informed me that you did hit a pick for the RBC Heritage, though.
Yeah, it might just be this podcast that is cursing me, is what it boils down to. I had Tom Hoagie out there for a top 20, although my luck almost continued as he fell from well inside the top 10 to T18 to finish.
So let's carry that momentum into this week. I was off last week. I did one single bullet outright winner on Tommy Fleetwood, and I don't even know where he finished, but wasn't even close. So
yeah,
let's have a good week this week. It is the Zurich Classic. I will be honest though, this is my least favorite, I think, PGA Tour event of the year. I don't really like the partnered format. I find it hard to handicap. Also, you're looking through these teams trying to figure out who to bet on, especially when you're looking for like a top 20 or top 10. And outside of the top 5 teams, or maybe even like 8 teams in this event, it's a bunch of bums. Even some guys, because it's hard, because like you can find like a good golfer or like a golfer at long odds who are like, oh, form's looking good, like course history. But then you look at his partner, and his partner is a complete bum who hasn't made a cut in 2 months. So it's a difficult event to handicap. I don't really enjoy watching it that much either. But we're going to bet on it. We're going to try to make it enjoyable by seeing if we can get a couple guys in contention on Sunday.
No, I'm 100% with you. It's pretty easily the worst event of the year. Like even the John Deere Classic. I'd watch the Bermuda Championship over this. Like I'd much rather watch just 72 hole stroke play. And what you were saying about teams is so right. Like someone who I like flat, like I was looking at DFS pricing. Alejandro Tosti was $6,100. I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. Who's his partner? And it's Ted Potter Jr. And I'm like, okay, exactly. Well, absolutely
perfect
not.
Example, right? Yeah. So for those of you who don't know what this tournament is, it is a partner tournament. It's only a team event on the PGA Tour's calendar. The day 1 and day 3 are best ball, so both partners play their own ball, and then the better of the 2 scores is what's recorded. And then round 2 and round 4 alternate shots. So one partner tees off on the even holes, the other partner tees off on the odd holes. And you just do alternate shot until the ball gets in the hole. So it's a little bit tricky because handicapping best ball is very different from handicapping alternate shot. Handicapping best ball, you want guys who are going to get a ton of birdies. So even if one of the 2 teammates, or even if both of them get some bogeys, sometimes that's okay, because you hope that they don't both get bogeys on the same holes. You want guys who can score. But then those kind of guys might get you in trouble in alternate shot, where you're only playing one ball. So that alone makes it tough to handicap. If it was all best ball or all alternate shot, it'd be a little bit easier, but 2 very different formats to handicap.
No, 100%. And the one thing that really stood out to me, like looking back at last year, was Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay are like the staples of this event. Like obviously they play together at Ryder Cups, play together at President's Cups, and they scored better in alternate shot last year than they did on best ball, which was a wild thing to see. That's not normally how that formula works.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, a little bit of a tough event to handicap, but we're going to do our best here. Let's see. Hey, maybe other events where we felt we were comfortable and then lost everything, maybe the opposite's going to happen. Maybe we don't feel comfortable with our picks, but then maybe these are the ones that all hit. So anything else that you want to talk about? Anything about TPC Louisiana specifically that we should No, not really. It's more about
such a nondescript golf course.
Yeah, the course does not really have much character to it either, which is another reason why I don't love this event. But
yeah, it's just, it's your run-of-the-mill TPC course. Like there's a little bit of trouble. There's some water on some of these holes being down in Louisiana, but outside, like it's a very nondescript golf course. So there's nothing really special I'm handicapping for it.
The good news is no Scotty Scheffler, so someone else has got to finally win an event, because apparently this show, when it's Scotty Scheffler and Nelly Korda teeing it up, it could be a 10-second long show. We could go live and say bet on Scotty and Nelly, and then see you next time. Because that's all you should have done for the past month and a half.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Crazy. Like, I actually have a question about that. So I've been kind of toying with it. Do you enjoy watching that level of dominance, like just watching golf, or would you rather see more parity?
I do, from a golf fan perspective. I think it's crazy. We haven't seen this. And especially, and I was watching No Laying Up earlier today. It mimics Tiger and Annika Sorenstam from the early 2000s. So, it's so rare that we see this level of domination, especially on both tours at the same time. So I love it from a golf fan perspective. I hate it as a bettor, because you're just so screwed. Like, you're going to bet and get little return on one of those 2 golfers. And what still probably isn't the value bet to make. Like, I don't know if you're getting, these are plus EV bets, but they win anyways. So then you fire on these other golfers and then they all lose regardless. So from a betting perspective, I absolutely hate it. From a golf fan perspective, I like it.
I think I'm the same way, and I'm already planning for the next tournament that Scheffler's in, just to give my outright as the winner without Scotty pick.
I agree. I think that's the move moving forward. We'll do top 5, top 10, and top 20, including the Scheffler, because obviously that doesn't have a huge effect on it. But I think for the winners on our shows moving forward, I think we do winner without Scheffler. I think that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, until he's not winning, like his one non-win in his last 5 starts was a T2. Like
right. With the 5 foot,
ridiculous.
We missed a couple 5-foot putts late in the last round, which either would have forced a playoff at worst or just won outright if it hit both of them. So
right. Maybe being a father will change all of this. Maybe, he'll have his baby and he'll just be exhausted and won't be able to play golf. That's what we can hope for as golf bettors.
Possibly. No Nelly Korda in the LPGA event as well. So I'm going to give out a pick for that at the end of the show, because there is one pick I love on the LPGA this week. She just withdrew because she's tired from winning. So she just withdrew and gave the other ladies a shot. So shout out to Nelly Korda being nice enough to do that. All right, let's get into our picks for the Zurich Classic at TPC, Louisiana. As always, we'll start top 20, top 10, top 5, and then our winner. Cody, what is your pick to finish in the top 20?
Yeah, going right to what you said about some of these teams. I'm going with Dylan Wu and Justin Lauer to finish in the top 20 at plus 210. But I actually really like this pairing. They both come in decent enough form. 3 straight made cuts apiece. Lauer's been the better finisher. It's 3 straight top 28 finishes. He's been getting a little hot for at least him as one of, these you called them bums. I'll call them lower tier players on the PGA Tour. Wu's finishes haven't been as strong, but his approach play has been really good. He's been in the top 20 in this field over the last 12 rounds with 0.65 strokes gain on approach. And Lauer's also gaining on approach, and his short game has been really, really strong. He's been doing a lot of work with the short game. That's Wu's weakness, but I think when you pair these two together with the strong approach play, they're going to have a lot of good opportunities, and I think Lauer's been playing well enough to convert some of those. So for a top 20, I kind of like the value there.
Yeah, I like Lauer quite a bit. So, I'm not going to argue with that bet whatsoever. I like it. My pick for top 20, I'm going way off the board here. I almost went with these guys to be my close to the win pick. Instead, I'm going to take them top 20 at 3-1. And I had a $10 free bet on BetMGM. I use that $10 free bet on these guys to win outright at 150-1.
Love it.
Adrian Dumont de Chessart and Jimmy Stanger. I bet you weren't expecting to hear those names.
I was not.
Adrian Dumont de Chessart does not have a ton of great stats this season. I will completely admit that. He has had some solid showings, but this is more of a bet because of Jimmy Stanger, who, am I even pronouncing it? Is it a soft G or a hard G? I don't know, but this guy is randomly 15th on tour and birdie average this season. Get some bogeys, which costs him, but he can score birdies. And in an event where 2 of the 4 rounds are best ball, you got to be able to score. So you need guys who are going to get birdies. So Jimmy Stanger can somehow do that. I've never heard of this guy before in my life. But looking through the stats, I like it. So for a top 20, 3-1. And Adrian Dumont de Chessart, like I said, has had some solid showings, some good rounds. He hasn't put together, a full tournament. But I've at least seen enough from him that I kind of like him in this event as well. So this is a wild team to bet on. Like I said, I put a free bet on them at 150-1. Not going to hit, but crazy things have happened at this event in the past. So with Jimmy Stanger's ability to, I guess, score some birdies, I'll take a shot at these guys. Top 23-1.
No, I like that. And I mean, to your ADDC pick, I'm just going to refer to him by his initials and not, go with that. But I do think, if I'm not mistaken, he's a rookie and he graduated from the Korn Ferry Tour. And I actually, in my closest to the win pick, which we'll get to, I have a guy who's currently playing on the Korn Ferry Tour. The thing about the Korn Ferry Tour right now is you've got to go ridiculously low to win one of those events or to get it to the top of the leaderboard. Yeah. So this is a guy who knows how to score, knows how to make birdies. And so I think in the best ball formats, that could really put you in a good position for a top 20.
And I do got to say, both these guys finished T23. They're both tied with each other for 23rd at last week's Punta Cana Championship, the alternate field event. So both in solid form. I know obviously alternate field, but still T23 is not bad for both of them. And what do you call them? ADDC, that is easier to say. Finished T6 at the Puerto Rico Open. So he has put at least some solid finishes at alternate field events. Now, an event like this that is very top heavy, there are some big guns up top, but really the mid-tier guys are not competing this week. Top 20, it's certainly possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, top 20, there's what, like 60, 66, 68 teams in this field, something like that. Right? So like, yeah, something in that range. So like you're asking for them just finishing the top third.
Yeah. All right. Top 10. You are going with there's two brother teams this week. You're going with one of them for top 10.
Yeah, it's not the Cooties. It is the Fitzpatricks, Matthew and Alex Fitzpatrick. They played this last year, and I admittedly got suckered into it too. Just, the brother pairing, it's something cool to bet on and, hit your wagon too. When Alex Fitzpatrick was kind of no name, didn't really have status anywhere, and they still finished T19 because Alex Fitzpatrick is very good at golf. He's been playing a lot more on the DP World Tour. And we've also seen, we talked about it a few weeks ago, Matt Fitzpatrick, since he got the weight out of his driver, has been striking the ball a ton better. And so with Matt Fitzpatrick getting back to form and Alex Fitzpatrick, he's had 4 top 20 finishes on the DP World Tour in 7 starts this year. He was T23, tied with your boys at the top in the top 20 or your top 20 picks last week at Corrales. I think that they're both playing in good form. I think they strike the ball well. And obviously to come out when Alex didn't have any status last year, Matt Fitzpatrick wasn't in the best form, and to finish T19, I think they obviously have good chemistry with the, the brotherly love with one another. So I think, top 10 at plus 210, I think there's some value there.
One of 3 brother teams, and I didn't even know the Cooties were competing with each other. So the Cooties, the Fitzpatrick, and the Hoygards.
I forgot about the Hoygards. Yeah.
I like that pick. I think Alex Fitzpatrick is he's obviously not going to be at the level of Matthew, but he's been playing some of the best golf of his career lately. So if there's a time to bet on these guys, probably this year.
Yeah, in this field specifically.
Yeah, for sure. My top 10 bet, this is a pretty simple one. I'm just going to take the defending champs. I'll take the defending champs top 10 plus 375, Nick Hardy and Davis Riley. Neither of them have really been in great form lately, but they set the course record last year. In this event, they shot 30 under, I think was their winning score last year. Yeah. And they also finished T21 when they played with each other in 2022. At least Nick Hardy had a solid start at the Valero Texas Open. So, I mean, there is some flashes of it, but at the end of the day, this bet more than anything else is we got a pairing who set the course record here. Well, not the course, the tournament record here last year. And you can bet on them at plus 375 just to finish in the top 10. So that's all I can do. I'm keeping that one pretty straightforward. I mean, like I said, I found it hard to find bets this week with some of the names competing. So being able to get plus 375 on a top 10 in the defending champs, I'll take a shot.
No, I like it a lot. And Davis Riley, he's been inconsistent, but there have been pop weeks. Like he was T14 at Houston. So like maybe you get a pop week, and at plus 375, I think that's a worthwhile bet.
Yeah, I agree. All right, you are going top 5, one of the golfers who got you a win last week.
That's right. Tom Hoge and Matt McNeely.
Hoagie's been a darling of this show. Hasn't won a ton, but I mean, I've picked him like 2 or 3 times already.
I mean, with the way he's striking the ball, it's hard not to see it. But when you were talking about teams that really didn't catch your eye, this one really did, because I think the blend of what these two guys do is really perfect for alternate shot, and obviously both these guys can score. Yeah. Tom Hoge has been one of the best approach players on the PGA Tour this season. Even more recent form, he's 4th in this field over the last 20 rounds in strokes gained approach, gaining 1.033 strokes. And he's been reeling off top 20s as a result of that, putting pretty well, which has come to bite him in some rounds at times. Like his putter will go ice cold. It happened at the RBC Heritage, and I think on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So like we've seen the putter go cold, but then you have Matt McNeely. His short game is where he's always thrived. It's always been the strength of his game, around the green and putter. That's where he really gets things going. But as he started getting healthy, as he's starting to get more reps in the PGA Tour, we're seeing his ball striking come back. He's actually 15th in tee to green play over the last 12 rounds in terms of strokes gained, 1.066 over that span. I think with the way that these two gel together in terms of how their games blend, it makes a lot of sense. We saw Hoge have relative success here last year, finished T13 with Harris English. I think Hoagie's playing better. I think it's a similar pairing with what Matt McNeely does well. So I like this as a top 5.
Yeah, I like, and Hoge can record some birdies too. So yeah, I like that bet quite a bit as well. I gotta trash your winner pick, because I'm agreeing with you too much on this show, and I don't like agreeing on all 4 picks. So even though I probably like your winner pick, I'm just gonna trash it anyways, just as a heads up when we get to it.
I mean, you can trash it as much as you want to because it is the dart throw of dart throws in terms of the middle of the board.
It is. But before we get to that, top 5 pick for me, I'm going to take what I refer to as the other brother team. I didn't even know about the Cooties. I'm going to take the Højgaard twins, not even just brothers, twins. Nikolai Højgaard, Rasmus Højgaard. Obviously, everyone knows about Nikolai Højgaard since his finish at the Masters, at least the first, good first 3 rounds before he kind of collapsed there on Sunday. But Rasmus is maybe not quite as good, but extremely consistent, or at least he was. From October at the Commercial Bank Qatar Masters all the way until did they replay that same event in February based on data golf? It's looking like they switched from October to February. Is an 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, a 9 event run where he finished T16 or better. Now he has fallen off a little bit in his last few starts, and he did withdrawal from the Hero Indian Open late March, which gives me a little bit of concerns for his health, but still generally has been a very consistent golfer. He has a few wins on the DP World Tour. And then obviously Nikolai is coming into this in great form as well. So you want to talk about how, some of the brother teams are going to have good chemistry. Nothing's going to be better chemistry than twins. They're going to be able to read each other's minds out there. So I will take the Højgaard twins to finish in the top 5. You can bet on them if you want at 25-1. I sprinkle a little bit on them to win at 25-1, but plus 450 to finish in the top 5 is a pretty solid bet.
I love it. I mean, both these dudes are super talented, man. Like I when they first turned pro in the DP World Tour, Rasmus was actually playing better than Nikolai. So Nikolai's become a more steady, worldwide player, but Rasmus has a ton of talent. So yeah, I can't have any qualms with this one.
Still both extremely young too. What are they? 22?
23 or 24, I thought, but
23. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Still young. Super young.
Extremely young. I'm going to take the Højgaard twins as my top 5 pick. Let's get into our picks to win. Yeah, you got a little bit of a dart throw here. I'm curious to hear why you are picking these guys to win. I guess anything can happen, but go ahead.
Yeah, so we're going with Doug Gim and Chan Kim to win at 50-1. So one of the things that I think we see pretty often at the Zurich Classic is just teams that get hot. And it's not necessarily we've already talked about, it's a hard event to handicap, and you just got to look for guys who are showing signs and just need one thing to flip to get really hot. And when I look at this pairing, that's kind of what I see. Neither of these guys can putt. They're both losing strokes. They're losing over the past 12 rounds. They're losing a combined 1.2 strokes on the greens per round. So it's been pretty ugly in terms of their putting. But Doug Gim, we've talked about him previously on this show. He's a ball striker by trade, and he had a bit of a rough patch between the Valspar and Houston where he lost on approach, but he got back to his DNA at the Valero and gained over 2 strokes on approach. So I like that he's getting back to what he does well. Chan Kim, on the other hand, he's actually leading this field in strokes gained tee to green over the last 12 rounds, 1.437. He's striking the absolute piss out of the ball, but he just can't putt. And that's why we haven't seen any terrific finishes. He's had some good finishes in that stretch, but not anything terrific. If these guys can just find a decent enough putter, they can absolutely win with the way they're striking the ball. Because you're not going to have many missed shots or any bad looks with the way they're striking the ball right now. So I think at 50-1, there's value in there and just trying to bank on someone getting hot, because at the top of the board, when you look at your Cantlays, when you look at your Rorys, those type of guys, there's just not a lot of value there. So I'd much rather take a dart throw on someone like this where you just need one thing to flip.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the bad putters won't cost them too much when it's best ball. It would concern me when it comes to alternate shot, though.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Just hold it together. That's all I'm asking.
So of the top teams, obviously you got Cantlay, Schauffele, who are the favorites, plus 450, at least BetMGM, which is where I'm looking at it right now. McIlroy's making his debut at the event with Shane Lowry at plus 750, a couple Irishmen, Thigala, Zalatoris plus 850, and then a small gap, and then Morikawa, Kitayama, and then a big gap, and then everyone else. So of those 3 or 4 teams, you didn't pick any of the 4. Which one would you bet on if you had to?
I think I would go with Zalatoris and Thigala. I think that's the one that intrigues me the most. There you go.
Perfect.
Look at you.
That's what I was hoping for you to say, because that's my pick to win. is Sai Theegala and Will Zalatoris. Obviously, Theegala's coming off that solo second last week at the RBC Heritage. I mean, if you bet the without Scheffler market and you bet on Theegala, it would have been a winner for you. Zalatoris has been striking the ball decently. He's a little bit streaky, but he has been striking the ball well. I think especially an alternate shot, if he can, I guess best ball too, if he can rely on Theegala's putting a little bit. Theegala's short game has been unbelievable lately. I think these two guys, their styles of play really complement each other. I'm a little bit concerned when it comes to alternate shot and their driving because they both can be a little bit erratic with their accuracy off the tee this season. So that does concern me a little bit, but still, in terms of scoring and complementing each other's games, I like Theegala and Zalatoris at plus 850.
So I like I said, if I had to pick from the top four, that's who I would choose. And I think you're actually your biggest concern. There is a silver lining there because they both can get erratic with the driving, but that also means they're both used to playing from those spots.
Right.
That means they're used to getting out of trouble and, making a decent number or taking their medicine or whatever you have to do in those situations. So I don't think it's necessarily as big of a worry as someone who's, who is a typically accurate driver playing with someone who's an erratic driver. That would worry me far more than having two erratic drivers. Yeah,
I agree. So I'm going to go a little chalk. I just couldn't not bet on one of these four teams because, I mean, the talent discrepancy between like the top 3 teams and the rest of the field is so big. Mm-hmm. Like, are all 3 of them going to choke this away and like not win this? Like, you got to think the winner is going to be one of those 3 teams, or maybe one of the 4 if you toss in Morikawa and Kitayama, because the talent drop off is just massive after those teams.
I mean, as someone who had Shane Lowry outright last week at the RBC Heritage, let me tell you, his putter is one of the worst things I've ever seen in the world right now.
He's been putting terribly.
It's unbelievable. And like, he's not like the best putter in the world, but he's normally been a reliable-ish putter. And so it's falling off the face of the earth. He's striking the ball well, but my God.
Yeah. Cantlay, Schauffele, I mean, no odds involved. I would take them, but just plus 450. I mean, they didn't win it last year. They weren't great last year. So I wouldn't want to bet them at that price. I think the value, is Theegala, Zalatoris, or nothing for me in terms of the top 4 teams.
I'm with you. Absolutely.
All right, closest to the win. No show last week, so we didn't have it. The Masters, I got one on you. You got Tiger Woods. He made the cut, but then finished last of all players who made the cut. I took Harris English, who I think was T22. So that is another win for me. I've taken a commanding 6-3 win and closest to the win, but we continue to we're taking guys who make the cut. So, I mean, pretty solid.
It's a weekend long sweat between the two of us.
Yes. Close to the win is tough this week because when you look at the teams that are 100-1 or longer, they are trash. I said I almost took ADDC and Jimmy Stanger as my close to the win because they're 150, but I like them so much I took them top 20 instead. So I had to go a different direction for close to the win. You give your pick here first.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mac Meisner and Austin Smotherman at 100-1. Can confidently say I've never bet on either of these two gentlemen before.
I have bet on Austin Smotherman when he first came on the tour because he was kind of a hot name. Never even heard of Mac Meisner.
Well, of the two, he's playing better, and he's the one with PGA Tour status because Austin Smotherman is currently on the Korn Ferry Tour.
Yeah, so he got his card last year. I think lost it. I think he just didn't play well all year. So, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, but when you look at these two, the reason I'm going with them, Meisner, he's missed 2 cuts in his last 4 starts, but the other 2 are a T10 and T26. So he's been popping. And over that span, over his last 12 rounds, which is what that would equate to, he's gaining strokes across the board. Every category he's gaining strokes. He's not a big gainer, but he is gaining. He's not bleeding strokes anywhere. Smotherman, on the other hand, in his last couple starts, he finished T50 at Corrales last week, which I don't love, but he was T9 on the Korn Ferry Tour 2 weeks prior to that. So I think that with what I said about the Korn Ferry Tour earlier, he's been having to get in the top 10 on the Korn Ferry Tour. You've got to score. And so I think in best ball, he can really put up some numbers and really give this team a lot of birdie looks. And with Meisner's steady play, I think that could really help them in alternate shot. So I just think there's a little bit of upside here. It's not something like I would not bet these guys for a top 20. I really, really wouldn't. But I do think there is some value.
All right. I like it. Meisner finished T10 at the Valero Texas Open. Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew?
Don't think we saw a single golf shot from him on the coverage, but he definitely did.
No, I think this is the first time I've seen his name. I'm going to take a couple of Englishmen at 130-1. I'm going to take Callum Tarrant and David Skins. Callum Tarrant Had a pretty solid start last week at the Punta Cana. I believe I can bring it up here. At least he had a good start. Finished T23. So, how many golfers finished T23? You mentioned 4 guys on the show who finished T23 last week.
Right.
So pretty solid finish for him. I know he got off to a hot start. He must have stumbled on the weekend there. And David Skins, T7 at the Texas Children's Houston Open last month in March. So at least some flashes from both of these golfers. I don't really have too much else to go off of here. I think they were teamed up with each other in 2022 and finished 34th, solo 34th. So they've at least played with each other once. And 34th is not a terrible finish. It might be enough to get me close to the win victory here. So no other reason. I just think I had to pick someone from 100-1 odds or longer, and these guys look good enough to me.
I will say T34 was probably dead last of teams that make the cut, because only 33 teams make the cut and ties. So it was probably close to dead last. But hey, like you said, if they make the cut, that could be a win for you, because there's a lot of missed cut equity in both of our teams.
Yeah. So there you have it. Those are our picks. Cody, why don't you just recap your picks, and I'll recap mine, and then we'll call it a show.
All righty, we got top 20, Dylan Wu and Justin Lauer at plus 210. Also at plus 210, Matthew Fitzpatrick and Alex Fitzpatrick for a top 10. Then top 5, Tom Hoagie and Maverick McNeely plus 450. And then my winner pick, Doug Gim and Chan Kim at 50-1. Closest to the win, Mac Meisner and Austin Smotherman.
All right, top 20 for me, I got Adrian Dumont de Chessart and Jimmy Stanger 3-1. Top 10, I got Nick Hardy and Davis Riley, last year's winners, plus 375. Top 5, the Højgaard twins at plus 450. And my win is Sahith Theegala and Will Zalatoris plus 850. And close to the win, Callum Tarrant and David Skins. And that is the show. We are back next week. Actually, do we have an off week? No, we don't. Yes?
No, I don't think so.
No, we're back. No, we're back next week.
Don't forget your LPGA pick.
What? Oh, LPGA. Yeah, thank you for the reminder. Do you have an LPGA pick?
I do not. I did not know they were playing this week, if I'm being completely honest with you.
No Nelly Korda this week. Thank God. So it is the JM Eagles LA Championship. Formerly, this is at Wilshire Country Club in LA, in Beverly Hills. Actually used to host the DIO Implant LA Open. Pretty weak field generally. A lot of the big names that people will recognize not competing this week. Got a few big names: Minjee Lee, Rose Zhang, Allison Lee, our darling from earlier in the LPGA season, is competing this week. But I'm going to go my favorite pick. I have 3 picks. You can read them all over at fansided.com/betsided. But my favorite pick, 25-1, Hairan Ryu. Haeran. I do not have a graphic typed up for it, but Hairan Ryu, 25-1. This course has a ton of bunkers around green, so you got to bet on golfers who can hit the green in regulation. She's second on the LPGA in greens and regulation percentage behind Nelly Korda, so obviously first in the field. And she led the entire field last week of the Chevron Championship in strokes gained tee to green, gaining 14.9. Even outgained Nelly Korda in strokes gained tee to green. Her short game let her down a little bit, but weaker field, the way she's striking the ball. And also she finished 6th at this event last year. So she checks all 3 boxes. She checks course fit, she checks recent form, she checks course history. Hairan Ryu, 25-1.
Love it. I think that's where you got to go.
You're going to join me on that one?
Absolutely. Of course.
Ride. Hairan Ryu, 25-1 at the JM Eagles LA Championship.
What a sponsor.
All right, that's our throw this week. AT&T Byron Nelson is last week at TPC Craig Ranch. I'm going to bet KH Lee. This is his event, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's the one. That's the KH Lee week.
TPC Lee in some form or fashion. And then the Myrtle Beach Classic after that. Is that the one that, did they lose a sponsorship? What event would that, or is that a new event, the Myrtle Beach Classic?
I believe it's a new event, if I'm not mistaken. They played in Myrtle Beach a couple years ago, but I don't think it was the Myrtle Beach Classic. And I don't think it was actually at this course either.
So that's in 2 weeks. Is that, if Google is telling me there's 2, that's the alternate field event. And then there's the Wells Fargo is a signature event that week. Okay. So it's that's a 2 event week. And then just a few weeks away, PGA Championship at Valhalla, where Scotty Scheffler will win by 5 strokes. It'd be crazy
Can't
if
wait,
he
I
completed the
guess.
Grand Slam.
Have you seen the odds on him to win the Grand Slam? It's ridiculous.
No, what are they?
So at DraftKings, at least yesterday, it was 40-1 that he would win the Grand Slam.
Yeah, I don't think that's worth betting, to be honest.
No, and it's 60-1 at FanDuel, which is still not worth betting because I mean that's just absurd. And for all the great things Scotty Scheffler has done, he has not been the most consistent winner past April. And on top of that, he's never played the Open Championship particularly well.
Yes, I don't think his style of play fits the Open really well, fits the Link style of courses all that well. And also we haven't seen, I got to see what Scotty's going to be like after the kid is born, because I mean, I'm not a father myself, but I assume you're pretty tired. I assume he's not going to just completely abandon his wife and, be hitting balls all day and not helping out throughout the night. So I'm guessing Scotty Scheffler will be off little sleep and not much practice. Is he going to be able to keep winning if he does that? That might be more impressive than anything else if he continues to win after he has a kid. So
the counterpoint is perspective. There's always perspective.
Perspective. All right, that is our show. Please like and subscribe, or like this live stream. Subscribe to the BetSider YouTube channel. Best of luck, gambler. Bless, and we'll be back next week for the AT&T Byron Nelson.
We'll see you.